The dark, cold reality of Alaska will humble any man, and her wonders from mineral treasures to wildlife are legendary and mostly unreachable. This vast land of wild frontier proves to be the explorer's challenge, devastating to her victims and remarkable to her survivors. Today on Peterson's Hunting Adventure Television, Craig Boddington and Dwight Van Brunt take on this challenge with the land's finest guides north of the Arctic Circle, where surviving makes you a legend. Hi, welcome to Peterson's Hunting Adventures. I'm Tom Gresham.
And I'm Craig Boddington.
We're really excited about today's show, which features Kimber's Dwight Van Brunt and Craig on the trail of Alaska grizzly bear, which is a tough enough hunt in itself. But when you have to contend with the Arctic conditions they did and the waist-deep snow, the hunt really becomes an adventure. Hey, Craig, how about telling us a little bit more about it?
Oh, well, believe me, there's some parts of that hunt I just soon forget. We flew into Kotzebue up on the Alaskan coast, and we found snowmobiles in the street. Even though the calendar said it was spring, it was still a winter wonderland up there, and it was cold. We were really loaded for bear. We had Kimber Model 8400 rifles chambering the then new .325 Winchester cartridge, and they were topped with Leupold scopes, so we were ready to go.
I tell you what, after an intro like that, I say let the adventure begin.
Let's do it. We're here in the community of Kotzebue, Alaska, on the northwest coast of Alaska. This is lovely beachfront property here in Kotzebue. It's a fine spring day, about 5 degrees. This is my friend Dwight Van Brunt from Kimber, and we're here in Kotzebue to go on a Arctic grizzly hunt. The little town of Kotzebue sits on the northern tip of a peninsula that juts out into Kotzebue Sound. You can see off over here the mountains. That's on the northern side of the Kotzebue Sound, and then straight out behind us, after you get out of the sound, is the Chukchi Sea, and there's nothing but Siberia over there, and from the edge of the sound across is only about 150 miles to the Siberian coast. They're loading up the planes, and pretty soon we're going to be going up the Noatak River to the southwestern approaches to the Brooks Range. It's a wonderful area for big bears. This is just perfect spring weather, and the bears are going to be starting to pop any day. You ready to go?
Let's go do it. Right now, this is our base. We're partnering up here together to head to the bush. We're located our camp for bear. From here, it's roughly about 98 nautical miles up to the camp. We'll be on a northeasterly course up over the top of the up over the top of the Baird Mountains, and back onto the Noatak River, and then on up into my guide area, which is in the Noatak National Preserve, which takes in an area probably about 5 or 6 times the state of Rhode Island.
Times are lean, but not for long. This land lives hand to mouth. Way up on the Noatak River, far above the Arctic Circle, under a dusky moon, make our stand. The wolves they howl and the wolverine growls, and the ice pops and groans, and somewhere out there a grizzly bear wakes with hair as silver as the moon. Way out in the Chukchi Sea, the chums are all growing old, as they return each fall to see the tundra raised in gold. Those land is rich, she's a jealous mistress, and we all vie for a dance. But unless you're dancing with Lady Luck, you don't stand a chance. Way up in the Noatak River, far above the Arctic Circle, under a dusky moon, we'll make our stand.
Peterson's Hunting Adventures continues after this.
We're here with Dave Leonard of Mountain Monarchs of Alaska and Mont Mahoney and Martin Belucas, and they're going to take care of us for the next 10 or 12 days until we find some bears. What's the plan, Brother Dave?
Well, we're going to get a decent night's sleep and have a bite to eat, and in the morning we're going to get up and see what the weather's doing. We'll warm the airplanes, and we'll go out doing a little bit of scouting, seeing if maybe we can find a moose kill or just see what's going on up in the countryside here.
Beautiful piece of country, and that old cabin looks just like home.
Yeah, this is an old trapper's cabin, and the old guy that built it lived just right at 100 years old before the river called his name. It's a real special monument to the country.
Well, this is about as far north as you could be in North America and be in a nice warm cabin. This is great.
Just about. Right now we're about 160 miles above the Arctic Circle, and this is probably about the furthest north cabin other than on the North Slope. There's a few of them up there.
Well, Dave, this cabin's pretty famous in this area. It's kind of a historical place. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it really is. Actually, this cabin was built by an Inupiat Eskimo fellow by the name of Abraham Howarth, and Abraham was raised in the village of Noatak, which is downriver from here. Mm-hmm. And he was actually 99 and a half years old when he finally passed away. He just about made 100. He just used to pull his boat up here and always felt like there should be a cabin here. So in the mid-70s, around 1975, he hired a fellow by the name of Buck Maxim to haul his supplies in here, to the materials and so forth, to build this cabin. And he spent the entire summer in here working on it and building the cabin, and because he just felt like the place needed a haven from the elements. And since then, not only his family and a lot of other Eskimo people from the community use it, but people that float the river from all over the world use this cabin. And after Abraham built the place, he didn't mind people using it. They were more than welcome. But he left a note here, which we've cherished, and it says, would appreciate very much if you would leave all the pots and the dishes in the house, and also everything that belongs to the house. Thank you, Abraham Howarth.
Craig and Dwight head to the beach to zero in their Kimber Model 8400 classic rifles.
Pretty good looking rifle you got here, Dwight.
Thank you.
It's your standard Model 8400, huh?
It sure is. It's a Model 8400 Classic. That's what we call that model.
Well, with the scope and you got 2.5 to 8 loophole on it, and with the scope and the sling and loaded, that'll bring it up to a little over 7.5 pounds. Ready to go.
That's right. Good for carrying around country like this.
Now that's really, for me, that's an ideal weight for a rough country rifle.
We got the weight down by designing the entire action of that rifle around the WSM family of cartridges. So the action itself is as short, thin, and light as possible. We also contoured the barrel down so it makes for a really nice rifle to carry sheep hunting, or even in something like this where we might be walking through some deep snow.
Okay.
Let it cool. There we go. There we go.
It's another beautiful spring day in the Arctic. I think if I was a bear, I'd want to be stretching and peeking my head out to see what was there.
You bet, Craig. Yeah, it's the weather's getting warmer every day. We've had a cold snap here for the past week, and daylight hours are getting longer, and this wind has laid off. That was a contributing factor, and as the days go by now, more and more bears are going to be popping out.
Well, Dave, you'd know. I mean, you've been hunting in this area more than 20 years.
Yeah, Craig, that's correct. In the early 80s, I came to the Northwest Arctic in the Noatak country with master guide outfitter Phil Driver. And I worked with Phil for a few seasons and then went on my own up here. And
You know, the interesting thing, because this is very far north, is this area actually produces big bears. Why is that?
Well, there's a number of contributing factors, but primarily there is a good food source here. They've got a good run of chum salmon in the fall. They're feeding lots of blueberries. There's also a good number of the Arctic ground squirrels, the parka squirrels.
Well, now, Dave, these bears eat a lot of moose too, don't they?
Yeah, you bet, Craig. They sure do. In fact, each spring when these bears pop out of hibernation, they typically, that's the first thing they'll do is come down and get into a pod of moose down in these willow thickets and around these little groves of cottonwoods, and they'll try to catch a straggler, and they will kill them and they will eat them.
After spotting a fresh moose kill with a grizzly nearby, the hunters advance and assemble a spike camp as close to the mountain as possible.
You've scouted up a bear. What, he's about 3 miles from here.
Dang it, we didn't find where a bear got a moose track, and he followed him all the way up the river and up a side canyon and got him up there into a draw. It must have got the higher ground on him, but he killed him bigger neck and was laying right up on top of him there.
The mountain looks a long ways away from me.
Yeah, it should be a textbook situation, though. This is what we've been waiting for.
The morning starts clear, and Craig and Dave begin the 3-mile hike to the moose kill, hoping their grizzly will be feeding on it.
When Mont went to town, Warren told him he thought the weather was going to go to hell, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, Warren Thompson down there, you know, but...
The weather deteriorates as they get within sight of the yearling moose carcass and the bear they're stalking. The winds are high and the visibility is low.
I tell you what, there's an awful lot of wind.
That's a tough shot, Craig.
The high winds force the guys to get closer to the bear than they normally would, requiring them to cross an open chunk of ground.
Let's set up good. Let's give him a few minutes, see what he does. Let's give him a few minutes, see what he does. He settles down a little better. Good. I don't like that angle.
No, probably going to have to wait for him to turn.
Now he's got to turn. He's got to turn. All I've got's head. I don't think he was looking at us. I think he was just looking at us. Was he, do you think? I think he just saw it. I don't think so, yeah. Oh, there, he's shifting a little bit.
All right, only fire if you're comfortable, Craig.
Oh, there, he's shifting a little bit.
All right, only fire if you're comfortable, Craig.
I don't even.
There, he's up. Okay, all right.
Now it feels good. Right?
Yeah, go ahead and take it.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's down.
Yeah, he looks it.
He's still moving a bit, but I think he's down.
Just stay on him.
Yeah.
Congratulations, buddy.
Hit hard with the first round, the bear managed to move off a short distance before giving up his ghost. With the snow squall ending, Craig and Dave followed up to where the Bruin lay still in the alders.
He's finished. Beautiful bear. Oh man, look at the claws.
These spring bears get really long claws on them here before they've had a chance to start digging.
Oh yeah, he's beautiful.
Yeah, well, that's a dandy,
Good
Craig.
big head. Wow. That was cool. Thank you very much.
Good job.
And you, great job.
The Kimber performed well.
Great job. Yes, it did. Yes, it
And
did.
it was adverse conditions.
Oh, terrible conditions.
Yeah.
Would have liked to have gotten closer, but I think that's about all we could push it.
Yeah, it was. He was getting a little nervous there. And those
Beautiful
ravens
bear.
kept him busy and kind of preoccupied at first, but once he settled back in there, he was getting a little nervous.
He was getting nervous. He knew something was up. And I think you're right. I think the bears can feel that.
Yeah, it's
They couldn't see you. They can't see that well,
yeah,
but
that sixth sense.
they feel it.
They feel the eyes
Yeah.
on them. They feel the binoculars on them, and it's like you're staring right through their spirit or something, and they don't like that. Okay. Craig, this is a classic Western Arctic grizzly bear. The coloration of the hide, the condition of it. Look how prime it is.
oh, he's
You know,
beautiful. And they got
even
that
on-
nice silver tip,
You bet.
a little frosting.
Even on the belly fur, when you roll him over, the hair is about 6 inches long. There's no short spots in there
No,
anywhere, you know?
no rub spots, no short spots. Well,
No.
he's just out of the den. He is a beautiful, beautiful old bear.
He sure is.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with him. And that, what a classic stalk too.
Yeah, it was a
Found
good
him
stalk.
on a kill and stalked him on the kill, and the only thing is this ground was awful open.
Yeah, it was not only open, it was crusted snow conditions and rotten in places and made it difficult getting here.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
You know, Craig, I'm really surprised at how light that Kimber rifle is.
Well, it really is. They've done a nice job on it. Even with a walnut stock, it's stripped at 6.5 pounds, and you put a scope on it, it's about 7.5 pounds, which really, in this country, that's a nice weight to carry.
It is. For a grizzly bear weapon, that's light.
Well, but you need the power, and that's the new 325 Winchester Short Magnum, and you know, it's a lot like the 338. We're shooting a 220 grain bullet at something over 2,800 feet per second, and so you've actually got a lot of power out there. Yeah, now he put a Leupold 3.5 to 10 on this rifle, and I'm kind of glad of it because we weren't really as close as I expected we would be. While we have this bear here and we can take a look, we talked about it earlier, but the ideal shot placement would really be just right center on the shoulder, wouldn't it?
Yeah, maybe just a little further up from there. When you make a hit in this area here, this is the boiler room in here, and it's going to take out lungs. Quite often, depending on how the bear's angling, if you take out the offside shoulder as well, it's going to roll him right over onto his back. One thing you want to be wary of is the fact that up here on the hump, there's a lot of territory just above the spine there, and also you got hair up there, so it's
Sure.
quite easy to put a bullet through there and not hit anything vital.
Yeah,
So,
it's real easy to shoot too high.
you know, it seems a lot of times the second shot is every bit as important as the first,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
if they can get their feet back up underneath them, they can sure go a long ways.
Yeah.
Before David and Craig even begin to pack up, a bold fox with a molting tail moves in on the food left behind by the grizzly.
This is a poem of the sweat of the brow. It was taken from the sweat from myself and my good friend Matt Owen, and it goes a little bit like this. Here's to all hunters and our precious game. Here's to our sport, may it always remain. And to our fine lives lived in wild lands, may aces and eights be our final hands. With our souls above when all is forgiven, through the gates we pass, 'cause we're no longer living. May it be clear with our word when to St. Peter we say, I have but one request on my judgment day. You see, it's beautiful up here, don't get me wrong, but it never was much for soft clouds and sweet song. You see, there's nothing in heaven to keep testing my mettle. So to send me to hell so I can hunt the devil. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
I tell you what, that was some hunt. Craig, it looked like you guys worked hard.
Well, we did. I'm naturally clumsy. Snowshoes were terrible, and I don't like the cold, and it was real cold. But you know, the grizzly bear is one of the great game animals of the world, and whatever you have to do to get a shot at a bear like that is worth it. And it wasn't much of a shot. We too open, couldn't get close, wind blowing like crazy. There was a lot of pressure, but we made it work, and it really was a great hunt.
And the ones you have to work hard for are the ones you remember.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. In the meantime, good hunting.